they're just in a pot. There are daylilies coming up there, which are yellow flowered with a darker centre. There's fennel here, and echinacea, which will have pink and yellow but tinged with green like petals. There are two pumpkins. I'm not sure if they're both Atlantic giant or if one's a polar bear. I would say the one at the back is an Atlantic giant, but I'm not sure. This is an albithia tree here. That's staying in its pot as well because it will keep getting repotted as it gets bigger, but I don't want to plant it in the floor because they get really big. The clematis here hasn't flowered that well because it's been messed with this year too much, and I snapped a load of branches. It used to have it was climbing up some canes which I pulled out, and then it just all slumped to the floor because I wanted it to go over this archway, which is new this year. I've got little fairy lights going round. So I wasn't brave enough to prune it, but I think I'm going to have to once it's finished flowering this time. The same kind of clematis is on this side as well, mixed with the honeysuckle, so it smells like really, really nice. I may do like a grotto thing here, you know, like that looks like a little cave, because that's what it's saying to me. It needs to be a little grotto with a little bit of a water fountain inside, and maybe I could put my little dragon ornaments in and things. This is a Paulownia, or a foxglove tree, also kept in a pot because they grow huge. It's leaning this way a little bit, which I don't really want it to, but I think it probably wants full sun, and it's trying to lean out towards the sun because it's shaded for quite a bit of the day here. And it's got sedums and the variegated ivy growing in with it, and there were some bluebells that popped up as well in the Cottonista, which it was hugging the wall before, but it was going that way and I wanted it to go that way, so I think it's having a bit of a refusal to go like I want it. Rhubarb, Glaskin's perpetual, which has come on leaps and bounds since I planted it into the floor. This is a solanum, that's purple flowers. It's still in its pot, and I'm not sure if it's going to be staying there, so that could be temporary. There's the purple passion flower growing up here. It's only a little because that was a new addition just a couple of weeks ago. There's another clematis behind it, and with more of the honeysuckle from over there spread to this side as well. I think it's like a purpley coloured flower on that. This tree trunk here, I tried to do, you know when you see in the woods, when people have hammered little pennies in and it looks quite decorative. I tried to do that, but the bark is just having none of it. It's like really, really tough, and it's like, I don't know, they just keep bonging out because it's like rubber. But that's what I'd wanted to do with that, but yeah, it wasn't working. The zebra grass used to be in a pot here, and I wanted it in the floor, and it's really thanking me this year for having planted it into the floor. It's looking a lot better than it did. I decided to plant that there actually, and as soon as I started digging, this big rock here, aka lump of concrete, was right there, exactly where I wanted to put it. So after a lot of effort and using some lorry straps, I finally got it out. I think it must have been an old washing line post, but like the base of it, and they'd poured a load of concrete in. A bit overkill if you ask me for just a washing line post, but it's out now and I'm happy, and I'm just going to let moss grow over it. And there are two astilbes there I separated, or divided should I say, the astilbe that's next to the pond, so they've got like reddish flower heads on them when they flower. There's a dicentra, otherwise known as a bleeding heart. This is just the normal pink one with the little white bits. A little red maple that's new, I'd forgotten that that was there though, and it's planted a little bit too close, so I may end up digging it back out. I did buy it as a bonsai really, but I've decided I need more height in the garden. So the garden, if you look overall, I wanted it like a jungle feel, and I thought, what's bugging me? And I think it is just a height thing. It's not got enough height because I'm waiting for everything. I have to buy everything quite small. We've not got thousands of pounds to be spending hundreds on just one tree, so waiting for the fatsia, and I've got a banana there, Musa Bashu. There's another banana there, but it's not frost hardy, the Ensete, a laburnum there. But yeah, I just need more height, and we'll come to those beds in a minute anyway. So I've got Salix, a flamingo plant. There were 4 trees in the same pot, so I divided them. And the same happened with this azalea here. I went to repot it and realised there were 4 or 5 separate plants, so they must have taken cuttings or purposely planted them all together so that it looked bushy. But I managed to separate them all, and they're doing really well in their own individual pots. This one is a different type of azalea here. There's a snapdragon in a pot there. Oh, I'm not sure what to do with this big massive pot, but I may plant in this Acanthus or Bird's Breeches. It's the variegated one, and it gets big white flower heads apparently. That was on the sale shelves at Ambleside Garden Centre, and was quite expensive seeing as it was on sale. I think it was £8, and it was only a titchy little leaf at the bottom, and I've had it for at least 2 months now, and it's growing extremely slowly, but at least it is growing, and I'm hoping it's not going to die. So that might end up in that big pot. I'm not sure yet. There's another rhubarb there. I can't remember what kind it is. A variegated maple here. See, some of my maples I'd bought with the intention of bonsaiing them, but I'm not sure. There's such a beautiful tree. It's nice to have a bigger tree, but I don't want too many trees, if you know what I mean. Again, these are going to be definitely bonsai, these willow trees. There was 2 in the same pot when I bought that, so that gets lovely red catkins, but they will be bonsaied. So this is going to be my bonsai area here, but nothing actually looks like a bonsai because it takes quite a few years to get them looking like that. You'll have seen in that brick bed over there, dead looking twigs. This is another one of the dead looking hebe pieces, which I cut all the greenery off because it was literally looking dead, so I thought I'll cut it all off in case it's struggling, and it's got some knobbles, but I'm not convinced that it's going to regrow. I did cut back a purple hebe many years ago, and it did not survive hacking it back so low. You're supposed to only cut a third at a time, I think, just in case, but in this case I've had no choice really but to do what I've done. So this is some kind of little pine tree that I was growing into a bonsai. I did have another one that I killed because I left the wires on too long, and that by the time I stripped them off it had deep gouges in it, and then I went and stuck it in the shade. But then I went and stuck it in the shade, thinking it'll not get stressed so much in all the heat, and then it's just died on me. So I was gutted about that one because it really was starting to look like a little bonsai as well. This conker tree here, courtesy of Mr. Squirrel again, he'd planted it in the front garden and it had started sprouting in between all my shrubs. I decided to dig it up and I'll bonsai this, but again, contradiction, a big bonsai. Maybe I don't have to go too big. I was thinking I have to make it a big bonsai because of the size of the leaves, but I've been watching videos about ramification where you end up getting lots of small leaves, so it'll still look alright, but it needs thickness to its trunk, and they do best when they're planted in the ground for a couple of years at least. So I'm reluctant to plant it in the ground, but maybe in a bigger pot at least. Right, if we go back across the bridge. Oh, this bridge actually was very kindly given to me by next door, and they'd had it upturned as a bench, and I didn't realise it was supposed to be a bridge until she asked me, do I want it? But I think it looks really nice. It will do when I've got all my bonsai set out here. Right, so let's go back across the bridge. There are cosmos in there, a monarda, which is just starting to flower. It's a bit more purpley than I'd wanted really, but I thought it was more on the pinkish side, but it still looks good there. There's some it keeps getting moved actually, because everywhere where I think I want a spot of colour, I'll put a flower where it'll give me that little bit of colour. There are lily of the valley and some pineapple lilies in there. And I'm loving this mind your own business that's spreading to soften the edges. And in fact I've transplanted some of it here and there, like over there. I've only just done it, so you can hardly notice it, but hopefully it'll just make it all like blend nicely. This foxglove self-seeded itself, which I don't mind. It kind of looks alright, but I'm not going to let it self-seed further, and I've kept pulling off the seed heads. There's some Arum italicum in there, so the leaves are dying back now, but it'll get lovely red berries. Or these, can you see the green berries? They'll turn bright red soon enough. And there's a dahlia in the back, more tree lilies. The yellow bottlebrush plant has finished flowering, and I always think it looks terrible when it's finished and all the flower heads turn brown, but then it gets lovely little seed pods all the way along its where the flowers were, so it'll start looking nice again soon because all these little bits will drop off. So cordyline there, calendulas in a pot there, the popping corn that was on about before, peony that never ever flowers. Did I mention there's tiger lilies in there, heuchera, what else? And there's dogtooth violets in the back that come up at the end of winter, but they've all died back now. The hops is looking a bit tatty at the minute because it had all grown into the tree, and next door's tree there, and I had to pull it all down, so it's looking like there's dead bits in it, but it's just where I snapped the branches. It's a bit of a thug because I was hoping it to always grow towards the sun, but for some reason it knows go that way to climb. The same with the honeysuckle, but at least the honeysuckle does smell really strong and you get wafts of it. Even while I'm sat in my living room in the house, I can smell it sometimes if the wind's blowing in the right direction. And the Cocosmia lucifer I've had to try and thin out a little bit. I should have dug up some of the bulbs so it wasn't so congested, but every year it's got rust, and apparently it's because the humidity gets trapped in between and it's not airy enough in there, so I just snipped some of the stems, but when it's all died back I will lift some of the bulbs this time and plant some of them somewhere else or give them away. So there's a fern next to it, but I don't know what type it is, but I really do love it. I think it's a bit more unusual. There's a Persicaria red dragon behind it, which I've taken cuttings because cuttings root really easily in water apparently, so I just took some cuttings but planted them over there because when I look from upstairs I feel like it needs a little bit of red over there. Burr's Beeches, Acanthus mollis. This tree fern here I killed many years ago, about 20 years ago maybe. I keep trying to plant a little normal fern in the top, and I did get one that was looking like it would take, and then the heat wave hit and then it's just completely died again. So I might give it another try and scoop out a bit of a bigger bit that looks like a bit of a pot in the top and try again. Brunnery Jack Frost, and these I'm not sure what they are, I can't remember the name of them. It was just one plant that I divided into two, and it's flowered really well for a long time, but I think it's getting a little bit tired now. I just keep deadheading it, hoping it'll throw up some more, but they're getting smaller and fewer. So I've got several hostas in here which are looking really tatty, not because of slugs. We had a storm a month and a half ago or something like that. We had hailstone, and the hail was so big it just tattered a lot of the plants and ripped holes in the leaves, so that's why they're looking so bad, particularly this one. There's a red hot poker in there which should be in a really hot sunny position. It does get some sun, but it should probably have a little bit more because it's getting a little bit shaded by other things that have sprouted since. There's Ligularia in the back, which used to be further in the front of this bed, but because it gets so tall I moved it further to the back and divided it into two. And as well, every time there was a bit of a heat wave, the leaves would always flop like really droopily and look terrible, so I thought it'd be better in the shade at the back. But that's also getting eaten by something by the looks of it. It's looking very holy. And the Tetrapanax I replanted there from a pup from the other side of the pond, and there's another Fatsia there. The Gunnery, it's not looking as good or big this year because I didn't bother to cover it with its leaves in winter, which I normally do, but I just left it. Just last year was a bit funny, but it's sending out a lot of leaves, but they're staying quite small, and I have snipped a couple off that were leaning too much that way and shading these out. I did just throw some cornflower seeds in there at the back, which I don't really want there, but I just threw them there for the sake of there was some finely tilted soil, and I do want cornflowers and I have nowhere else to put them, so that's why they're there at the minute. I will collect seeds off them possibly. There's this sedum and another sedum which it keeps spreading too much. I have cut a big clump out there because it was looking too congested. And the goat's beard has gone past its best now. It always looks absolutely beautiful with its white flowers, and then they turn to this horrible browny colour, and every time it rains it really flops over because I didn't put some support in time this time, but next year I shall remember to do that so that it doesn't keep flopping over all the other plants. Phoenix palm. This is an azalea which I'm giving a chance that it might sprout back the same as the one that I dumped on top of the compost. It's not the same type, but I'm hoping it might have the same outcome and sprout back from its roots or something. I'm loving this nasturtium. I've had oranges, reds and yellows before, but I've never seen one that's like a vibrant pink like this, so I thought I must have it. What have we got in the back? So there's the flag iris that's done flowering, and its seeds end up everywhere, and they keep plopping in the water, and I keep seeing them sprouted floating along, but I try and pull them out and let them dry out and die somewhere because I don't want that everywhere. It's hostas and snowflakes that have died down now in the back, and more Crocosmia lucifer. There's a Fatsia spiderweb at the back there, which is looking really good this year, but the clematis is trying to squash it a bit, so I pushed it all that way and it's looking alright at the minute. There is a Chinese lantern right down there in the back, which is planted in totally the wrong place because of the goat's beard shaded it, so I might have to dig that up. It is looking alright, I think, but I am going to dig that up in autumn maybe. This Tetrapanax here is a pup that has gone round the pond from the original mother plant, which is now just a stump that was where the original was planted, and the roots have gone round the pond and popped up there. I might leave that be, but I'm not happy that the bottom leaves are drooping in the water. It's just so difficult to get at the back and see to everything that's behind there. There's an Akuba behind there, the Kiwi Jenny that gets out of hand in the corner. I just keep chopping it back. This year I've done a new bog filter to try and get the pond clear. I only completed it the other week. I don't think it's quite big enough, so I'm going to do a secondary filter. I have got a box filter which is just dumped at the back there. It still looks all messy because I've not chopped the liner properly or anything, because I was finding every time I go over there I'm snapping plants on my way through, so I've not finished it, but I'm going to try and get the box filter set up as well. So the box filter will go into the bog filter and then into the pond, so hopefully I'll soon have clear water. The water shouldn't be that mucky because last summer I did drain it right down to the bottom, and there was a bit, like, I'd say about a foot of sludge in the bottom, to be honest. Right, so there are some like bog plants in there, like a mini bulrush, like horsetail or morsetail, but not the same kind as grows in your garden. It's specifically for bog gardens, and that type of grass. I can't remember what the name is. There'll still be there are agapanthus at the back that are not growing that big really, and they're just like, there's grassy bits. I don't think I'm going to get any flowers on this year. Hostas, there's another bottle brush that has a bright pink brush to it. There's the New Zealand flax. New Zealand flax can get way big, but this particular one in the back doesn't grow very well, so I'm happy about that actually, because it can get out of hand. Trachycarpus, these branches have snapped because I was sick of keep going past and them stabbing me, so I snapped them on purpose. And there's some gladioli in there. There's a polar bear pumpkin amongst all that. This is a courgette. This tetrapanax here is another pup that I've let grow, and there's another one starting there. So it just keeps going along, but I'm going to let that one grow as well, I think, because I do want more height in the garden. Andy put this in so that I don't have to keep threading my wires in for the pond pumps through the kitchen window, so you did that at the weekend, and I'm really chuffed because now I can just easily come out and switch them off there if need be. I've just left it running, to be honest. Alchemilla mollis, pineapple lilies, a butylon, a Chinese lantern tree, which flowered really well in spring. This is wood sage, which has self-seeded everywhere, but I quite like it because of its bright green colour. Another hosta. I don't know if this is a little mini type because its leaves are so small. There's a cyclamen there, spotty dotty, pulmonaria, hydrangea, and my poor tree fern. When we had the heat wave, I stupidly put a black cover over it, some weed membrane, and because it was touching the leaves, it literally, I don't know, it didn't set on fire. All the leaves turned black, but I've cut 2 of them off. It was in a pot, and this year I've planted it in the floor because it's been getting weaker and weaker every year, so I planted it in the floor this time, and I had high hopes for it, and then I go and do that. But it has got at least 2 more fronds growing in there, I can feel them. Some more Alchemilla mollis and another fern. This was next to the Hebe from the front garden. This was self-sown hawthorn, and I'm going to bonsai that as well, so I've chopped it off there, and I'm going to let these grow to quite a thickness, some of these side ones. I'm just going to let it do its own thing for at least a year and see where we're at with that. In this bit here, there's a rhododendron, which I always keep in its pot. I don't want to get in too big. Lamb's ears. Oh, it looks similar, but because it's got fluffy leaves, but it's a vibascum there on the side of the pond. And some Solomon seal under there. This is an azalea that keeps getting moved around. Another azalea there. I've got different shades. I've got yellows, I've got pinks, I've got stripy pink and white ones. I'm not sure that I've got a purple one other than the big one in the front garden, which is a rhododendron. So the Ensete banana, the variegated Solomon seal. There's, oh, what's it called? It's a type of regersea, like the palm-leaved regersea. I thought it was dead actually. It had been at the back of the pond over there in its pot, and I'd let it dry out, or so I thought, but it's just got one little piece left, so I'm trying to keep it in shade so that it'll proper bounce back. There's some lilies in there which are really heavily scented. The banana plant is new this year. There's a fuchsia in there. I've split one of the hostas from near the pond into 2 more bits, so hopefully they'll take. Mountain laurel, calmia. And there's nasturtiums in there. Some carnations in there as well, but I think they're actually going to flower this time, but they never have before. They've got flower buds on them. These, I'm not sure if they're Crocosmia, little baby Crocosmia lucifers, but I'm hoping they're not, because Crocosmia lucifer's just there. I'm hoping they're maybe some kind of gladiolus, I can't remember the name. A really scented one with a white flower in a purple centre. The tiny little bulblets from those that I used to have here. They're not very frost hardy, so I'm actually going to dig them up, because they'll not flower this year, so I still won't have any idea what they are, but I'm going to dig them up and pot them, keep them in the greenhouse, I think. I nearly forgot to tell you about this plant here. I've always thought it was a cobra lily. I'm sure it was. It looks quite different from what it actually turned out to be. Well over 10 years ago, I did buy what I thought was a cobra lily, and it did flower that first year. And then it was only last year I started noticing these leaves coming up. I was thinking, no way, not after all this time. It's been about at least 10 years, shall we say. It could be 15. Anyway, after all this time, it actually flowered this year, and I took a picture of it because we were going on holiday, and I thought, I know I'm going to miss it opening properly, so I kind of forced the flower open a little bit and took a picture. And it turns out that it's a dragon lily, which has got quite a big difference in flower. So I'll have to look at old pictures and see if I ever took a picture, and it's definitely in the same spot. The only other thing I can think is that because it was from an exotic plant store, that a dragon lily seed was in the same pot. But even so, after all this time, for it to start growing properly after many, many years, even if it was the dragon lily in the first place, there must have just been a fragment left of the bulb that I thought had rotted all that time ago, and maybe it's just took this long to get bigger and bigger. But I was so chuffed to see that it with a really unusual flower, and it looked like red velvet. But I'll put a picture on now and show you what it looked like. So this has probably ended up a really long one. Sorry if I seem like I was rushing at the end there, but next door's always got the back door open, and I feel like I'm either getting on the nerves, and also I'm self-conscious of seeming like I'm talking to myself as well. So and as well I try not to, doing a garden tour always takes a long time because there are so many plants and I feel like I can't miss any of them out. But future videos will just be me doing little jobs, I think, and maybe just have little chats about stuff. So thank you for watching. I hope you like my garden at the minute. There are bits that I am pleased about and bits that I want to change, but it's getting better and better every year, and at least I can concentrate on it now that I've not got the allotment. And at least there are plans to have veg beds in the front, which makes me really happy because I love flowers first and foremost, but I want to do everything, and I miss growing the veg as well. So bye for now, see you next time.